Hey everybody, let's take a look at how this numbering kit, these set of templates work so that you can make your numbers for DTF. And I suppose you could use these for sublimation as well. But I did make them specifically for DTF, but the output would certainly work the same for a sublimation job. But I just kind of want to go over the different fonts that are in here. We have this soccer font, and you can see there's variations here, and I'll show you how all these variations work. There's just a standard font, which is this one right here. We have a mesh block font. Mesh meaning that there is these little mesh dots that you can color anything you want, both on the inside and the outside. So these are kind of like a, outline block font. And you also see that there are stitches here. And all of these things, all the elements you can remove or have in your final output. We also have a mesh block with holes. What that means is instead of colored ones here, the mesh simply knocks through all the way to the garment. As you see, I have this little red dot here making the garment. You can see through. So they would be like breathing holes, if you will, but just a different variation. And we also have this stencil font right here. You see there are 3 different colors available, or you can do it as a 2-color. And then finally this fancy font, which is kind of a serif-like font that's a little bit fancier. But between all of these, you can easily make your numbers at 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 inch and generate custom numbers for your customer per the job or order. The other thing that this kit includes is this mesh pattern and the stitch brush that I created. So this mesh pattern will allow you to, maybe you've got the front design you want to look like the back. So I give you all the tools to do that, and we'll actually do this little project here. And then the stitch brush, which is a brush that looks like stitches. I think you'll really like it. It adds a lot, kicks up a notch, and this ultimately will save you from buying these types of numbers from a company that sells that you have to buy and then apply. Why not just make them yourself with the full color capabilities? Now let's take a look at what one of these look like. This is labeled Block Mesh 6-inch.ai. And if you look at the layers here, you're going to notice that everything is turned on. And from the bottom on up, everything on the layers is also labeled to what it is. So if I turn off the outside stitch, it disappears, inside, and then the outside mesh and the inside mesh. So essentially there is a block font just plain as you see it, if that's what you want to do, just a plain old font. And then if we go down to this bottom layer, this is where we would change the numbers as far as the color is concerned. Now in Illustrator, an easy way to select the whole layer, because everything that's on its layer is the same color, is you select on this little target right here. Now that put a selection around everything, and you can plainly see that the foreground is this red color and the stroke color is this royal color. So easily we can go up here and pick any color we want. Let's just go with this orange here. And then I'm going to select the stroke color, and we're going to choose this, let's go with this sort of this aqua teal color here. So immediately this is good to go if you want to output these numbers as PNG files that you can then put into your queue and print the DTFs. But let me show you the mesh. And I'm going to get up here really close just so we can see what's going on. Now, if I select on the mesh layer, This is still colored light blue, but if I actually select and click on this target here, it's going to select all of those little mesh dots. And let's just make those yellow. Now, one of the things I need to do is make sure the foreground color is on. And let's make those this yellow color. And then for the outside mesh, you see they're still what they originally were. We're going to select this target here, make sure our foreground color is here. And I actually may try to get a darker variation of this. So initially I'm going to color it this color right here, which sort of makes them disappear. But I'm going to add a color, a new swatch. And now this brings up that very color I just made. But this will allow me to come in here and I'll be able to make a darker version here just by tweaking this and hit OK. And so you see right on the spot, I've made these custom mesh letters. Now let's go with the stitch here. We have the inside stitch, which you'll see is in the perimeter of the letter itself around the fat part of the letter. And I've selected on that. Once again, we've got to color that. Let's go ahead and make that yellow too so it stands out. You see that? Looks really, really nice. Now I'm going to turn on and jump up to the outside stitch. And I'm going to use that same color that I just made right here. Okay, so now we have this block mesh 6-inch colored, and this will be ready to output. So how do you output this for DTF? Well, you want to make PNG files, and there's a reason why all of these numbers are on their own artboard. That gives us a lot of opportunity to just output one number if we wanted to, or a couple. But note that the artboard names here coincide with the actual numbers that are sitting on them, albeit the 10, which is the 0 here. But this artboard here, that is your 1, and then so forth. Now let's go to output this. We don't want to make the mistake of putting semi-transparent edges around here. We want it to be sharp, 100% pixels. And so to do that in Illustrator, we're just going to go to Export As. And now this is where all the styles live in the folder that you get with this kit. So I'm going to go back up here to number files, and I'm actually going to create a new folder. And I'm going to call this 6-inch block. I've created a new folder here. And now I know that everything that's going to be in here is going to be 6-inch. So I'm just going to name this orange_teal. Now that you see I'm about to export this, I've got it set as a PNG. I want every single number here. So I'm going to use artboards, and I'm going to go ahead and hit export. Now, if I wanted just a range like 1 through 3, at this point, I would just click range and I would type in the 1 to 3. But since I want to use all artboards, I've got this selected here, and then I'm going to hit export. It's going to bring up one more menu. This is very important. Under anti-aliasing, put none here. This will keep the edges sharp. You don't want those semi-transparent pixels, but we do want a transparent background. So there you have it. We're going to hit OK. And now let me flip over and open that folder. Okay, and here is that new 6-inch block folder that we made. And you can see if we click, there are all the PNG files made, ready. You can make as many colors as you want and build up a massive collection to show to your customers, or maybe you print off a couple of extra of these just to have around to show for them to pick. but you will be doing the coolest letters around because all of these allow you to customize them. And speaking of customization, let's go ahead and stay on here because this actually works with all of the fonts. But let's say that we want to go this inside numbers here. You see what's going on here? I'm going to hide everything else just for a moment. Now, if we select the numbers here, you see it's got this fill here, and we also have the stroke. Let's go ahead and borrow from my little file. Also included, this is the kit that allows you to do your own mesh pattern and stitch brush. But let's say I want to grab up one of these gradients here. I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to paste it in. So you see that? Now we've selected everything in here. I'm going to go ahead and delete this now because I pasted it in here. It actually landed up here as a new gradient swatch. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that and now select all my numbers. Make sure the fill is on here. And now I can just click on that gradient swatch. Because I pasted it, it landed here in my swatch palette. And also, because they're still selected, I can go to the gradient menu. And here I can switch this to 90 or -90, however you want it going from top to bottom, whatever way you want this to work. And I can also go ahead and drag colors down onto here, like this orange, maybe on one end, and maybe this teal/aqua on the other end. You see that? Now, if we look at everything on here, you can see that we've changed the whole dynamic of the numbers. And that is just how easy it is to add a gradient, make up your own gradient. I've done a few for you, so you have them. We go back over here, you'll see I've got this chrome look. This is kind of a metallic gold. Let's try that one. Let's go ahead and copy that one. And we'll go back over here and we're going to paste this in. Notice that if I don't see it up here, I can go ahead and hit the plus. I'm just going to call that gold. And there it is right there. Now I can ditch this. Now I'm going to select everything here and I'm going to click on my gold. So now we've got this sort of metallic look going on. This is super, super versatile. Now another thing you can do with all of these fonts is you can also make a pattern. So let's go ahead and grab this camo pattern. We'll bring it back over here. We're going to make sure we have all this selected. You see that right there? Let me go ahead and paste in my camo pattern here. Now, that did not land in here. But what I can do is drag and drop it in here. And there it is right there. I'll delete it. Once again, I'm going to select, make sure my fill's on. Now I'm going to hit that camo pattern. See how quick this is? It really works well. So let's create a scenario where the customer might ask you for a camo pattern. You'll want to select all of your numbers. Make sure the fill is sitting forward. We're going to go under Object, Pattern, Text to Pattern Beta. And now we're going to put in Digital Camo Pattern with shades of aqua. And we'll see what it gives us. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 prompts to get it just right. But once you have these patterns, you'll have them forever. and they will tile seamlessly. There we go. So you might look, see which one you like better. Kind of liking that one right there. So you see, this can be a very powerful tool to easily make these custom numbers. Now you can choose to save this as an Illustrator file if you want to carry this down the road. Even if you've output these as PNG files, you might want to save this. That's really up to you. Whereas I typically just going to close and not save over the original file. So let's pull up another one of the sets here. Let's look at the stencil set. We'll pull up the 6-inch. All of the other files do not have any stitching, only the block does. So these are all solid. However, just like the others, you can color them like you want to. You can even do little variations if you want. Let's say you only want 2 color here. Then you could select all of the blue here on the inside color and go ahead and color those the red. Now we've got 2 color numbers here. But see how easy these are to navigate? You just simply click on the target, and you're going to see that is the actual number itself, this stencil. And then you can just pick a color as you see fit, maybe like that. And you have this inside number here. Let's go ahead and paint that yellow. And we're kind of back to where we started. Now, the final thing I want to show you is, let's say you want your team logo on the front that you're also doing in DTF to match the numbers on the back. So you can see I have some live text here. If we look in line mode, it's still solid like that, but this is indeed live text. See, this is about 12 inches across. I'm going to go ahead and outline that text. And now I'm going to use the Pathfinder to unite all of this text. Okay? Now I need to go grab some elements. And part of what I'm going to grab is this mesh pattern. I'm just going to shift select on the stitch brush. And I'm just going to copy that, and I'm just going to paste it in over here. This ensures that I have this mesh pattern now right here. And now the stitch brush is going to be available for me to use as well. So you see it dropped in right here. A lot of times what I like to do is go ahead and take a copy of this and then come up on a different layer, target that layer. I'm going to hide this layer here, and then I'm just going to do a paste in front of that same text. And I'm going to go ahead and shift this around to a stroke, and this will allow me to select that brush, that stitch brush. Okay? Let's get in here really close so we can look at this. It's important to understand that on the brush especially, that you can change the weight of this by changing the stroke. So you see that? Now if we hide that and go back down to the bottom layer, let's go ahead and select the foreground here and turn that to red. And now this mesh pattern here, we can just extend this out. See that? It's just going to repeat. And when you like what you see here, there's a couple of things that you can do, a couple different ways you can go about this. One is we have to decide, are we going to punch all the way through, or are we just going to color this mesh? Either way, once we have the big enough piece like we want it, we need to go ahead and expand this. So we're going to go up to the object expand and just hit OK. And if we look in line mode, you're going to see it made thousands of little shapes here. Get rid of those. Let's go ahead and look in fill mode. We're going to set the fill and stroke to none. And now I'm going to go to the select menu, select same fill color. That's all that extra junk right there. And we're going to delete that out. Now you can see much simpler. It's just the dots. We can also change the color of the dots at this point, now that it's no longer a pattern. So if we want to turn this yellow, you'll see all the dots turned yellow. But we want to get rid of this outside perimeter. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to arrange the dots to go to the back. This will allow me to make another copy of this. And now I'm going to select, after copying the cougars, I'm going to select everything and then do a Command 7, which created a mask. See how all of the dots disappeared outside of the cougars? And now when I select this and paste behind, we have our nice mask mesh. And then if we add in our stitches here, then we have the stitch on there. Okay, now if we want to work with the stitches, it's in the same scenario because it is a brush. We want to show that stitch layer. We're going to go ahead and lock this layer down that's got our cougars and our mesh. So we're only dealing with the stitch here. We're going to select that layer and we're going to expand appearance. And then we're going to go to path, outline stroke. Let's get in really close now. Now we need to get rid of the excess left over. If we go to line mode, you'll see we've got this uncolored stroke here. So we just want to make sure our fill and stroke are set to none. And then select same fill color. That little line is selected, and now delete. Now this will let us select this whole thing here, and we'll be able to bring in this behind, and we can color this effectively anything we want. Let's say we have this where we like it, but now you want to get rid of all of the yellow here and have the shirt show through. If you want the holes, then what has to happen is we're going to select all. Then we're going to come to the merge tool right here. We're going to click on merge. When merge is done, all we need to do is use the direct selection tool, find one of these yellow centers here, select same fill color, delete. And because we merged it is all one piece here, you can see the art now is allowing the color of the shirt to show through. So that is how you would use this kit to make your own custom art. Last thing I'll show you is how would you output this if you're going to make that PNG just like the numbers. A lot of times what I'm going to do is go ahead and select my art object, then come down to the artboard tool, and in the properties menu, we can actually go to the preset fit to selected art. And now when we export this out as a PNG, we have no excess border around here. That is something that is typically set up in your RIP device when you're doing your DTF transfers.